Hello Replay Play viewers, thank you for watching. A little bit crazy that I'm going live at this hour, but you know, that's just how I roll. This is actually my second video. I did a interview before with Brian Coloris. He's amazing. He is going to teach me a lot about leadership, and I think that's where my next journey is. So today I am going to talk about how I actually overcome being shy and able to talk to people, okay? Because I haven't always been like this. So if you're coming in, please let me know where you're coming from. What's the weather there today? What is happening there? Uncle Joe, what is up? You're still awake. This is unbelievable. How's it going? So I just got off the phone with somebody, right? And made me go on live talking about how I did my thing. One of the talks that I did, hey Gina, what's up? At the UTS, which is the University of Sydney, University of Technology Sydney. And so I thought I shared that. I shared not probably a while ago, but maybe I haven't touched upon it now. But since I'm in the space of network marketing, I think it's very important for me to address because I haven't always been like this. Okay, so what if I told you, your shyness can really disappear? I mean, really, your shyness just like disappear, right? I used to think, you know what, if only my shyness just disappeared just a little bit, if it just goes away a little bit, I'll be happy, okay? But what if I can tell you it can just totally disappear, like out of thin air? Well, I can tell you that it really, really can, okay? So when you saw my photos before, it wasn't just the way that I look, it was different. It was the way I think was different. So therefore, I probably say that's why I look very different, because I was shy, right? And when you say you're shy, you're labeling yourself, what do you dress like? You dress like you're a shy person, right? But when you say you're not shy anymore, things just start to get a bit, intense, including my laugh. All right, guys. So if you guys know what I'm talking about, put in the hashtag, yes, me too. And so I just want to tell you guys, growing up, I was like very timid, very shy, full of insecurities, right? And I really struggled to connect with people. Now, I know, again, it is not a Maggie problem, right? I realized that the more I got comfortable with myself and the more I share with myself, I realized it's not a Maggie problem, okay? But we always just think that it's just us. It's just, only I have this problem. I mean, only life treats me bad. Everyone else's life goes really well. Like, do you guys ever think like that? I used to think like that. I used to think I was this one special person that life doesn't go well and it's just me, right? Everyone else is perfect. So, I was afraid. I was fearing of the unfamiliar. See, this is my English coming out, my second language that I can't speak English properly. Unfamiliarity. Am I saying that right? I can say familiar, but I can't say unfamiliarity. Anyway, and I was afraid that people was going to judge me, right? Or reject me. Okay, so that used to be me. That used to be once upon a time, used to be Maggie T fan. Okay. And so, before I give you like my strategies of like what I did to kind of overcome these things, I think the most very important thing of all is, to recognize like why you're doing what you do. And that's what it goes through every single thing that I do, is that I always ask, why am I doing what I'm doing? Okay, so why did I have to overcome these insecurities? Why did I have to go and overcome my shyness? Like, why wouldn't I just be happy just being shy, right? Because everyone just walks by and go, you know what, I'm shy. I can't talk to people because I'm shy, right? Why did I decide to break that? Because there was a why. And within my profession, whenever we say that whenever your why is big enough, the house will take care of itself. So when I said to myself, why do I want to go out, and why do I want to break this pattern? Because it was affecting me. It was affecting me in every single way. It wasn't just about talking to people. It was because in the root of the underlying root of it was because me being very insecure by myself. So therefore I didn't end up liking myself. So therefore I trying to pretend, trying to cover myself up so that other people don't know it, as if, I was a fraud, or, I shouldn't exist in this world. For some reason, my presence, I felt like it didn't matter, right? And then when I had kids, so it really changes when I have kids, because I looked at myself and I said, my kid's going to duplicate what the hell ever I was going to do. Okay. So I could not tell them what I wanted them to do, but not doing it as well. So that's why when I got into network marketing, I was really, really appreciative of all the leaders. It's because they're leaders for a reason. They lead from the front, and people choose to follow. People choose to flock to them because they inspire and they bring the best out of the people, as opposed to managers, right? So it was really my kids, because I want to see my kids thrive. Hey, Joby, I want to see my kids, not being afraid of talking to people, because I realized that all the solutions that you have, right? Your connection with people, it's not just about strangers. Because what happened was because I was so insecure by myself, I didn't talk to strangers. But what also happened was that when I was in my own relationship, the people that I was surrounding myself with, I didn't really have a really good connection with them. I didn't really have a really good relationship with them because I was insecure. So wherever you go, there you are. You bring yourself with you wherever you are. So I couldn't talk to people. It wasn't necessary because I was afraid of strangers. It was all about me. It was what I think about myself, and I think others think about me. So I bring that into my own relationship with my kids, with my kids' dad, right? Or with my friends, and the way I think of myself, I allow them to treat me, what it is. And it's like a really deep level of self-belief and insecurities, and that was the reason why I didn't talk to these people. But I decided to take it one step at a time. So I give you where it really affected me. One of the things was my very first job. So my very first job, when I got the very first promotion, I said no. I said, I can't do it. I don't want to talk to people, right? I was just like, no, I'm just gonna do this because I know this. I know what I'm doing. If you make me do any more, I have to talk to people, and I have to do more. I have to be more. And then that's when I shrunk. And slowly every single year I was shrinking. And it doesn't matter how nice my boss was and whatever it was, I just felt like every day I didn't like myself very much. And I think that's why people, leaked into depression and stuff. But, and I want to really touch upon to see why, you really have to start talking to people, because somebody else out there, the strangers that you might touch, right? You can really change their lives, because you don't know what where they what part of it is in their life. They could be suicidal, right? And that's what I touched upon when I was teaching at UTS. So when I was in my job, people think I was snobby, right? So one of the things I used to do, number one, was I had to remind my face. I had to tell my face that I'm happy. Because I used to walk around with this rest bitch face, like really now I can't stop smiling. But it was once upon a time when it's literally you look at me and then you go, wow, this girl needs a bashing or something, or she just, why she looks so angry all the time? And that used to be my normal face. So I wasn't very approachable because I was thinking, because I didn't want to talk to people, so therefore I put this face on. I was like, I walk around and I literally, I look like, I don't know what the word is. If you guys can help me out, put it in, because that used to be me. I was like, and so I have to constantly remind my face that I'm happy. And then so how I gradually kicked my shyness away was when I decided, what I just said to you, that this needs to stop. I have a life to live. And I read a lot of books, and no, I wasn't reading a lot of books. I started to reading books, and I realized, and what I just told you is that everything you want is in someone else. It's in another human being. So we can't go around and say there would be no problem if there was no human being, right? That just cannot happen. So why do we try to change something that we just can't change? Why don't we look at something that we could do? And humans are not all problem. People are not the problem. And so when I first did this, I started in a lift. So this was this is true story. I was at my job. I was at my corporate job, an office job. I went in and I decided, one day I'm just gonna talk to one person a day, right? Just to say hi, right? And I have my phone, right? And I walk into the lift because one night, I finished late, and I would be, I was in a lift, and normally when you're in the lift, what do? You pull out your phone and you just start, typing away or whatever, right? Just pretend don't look at me, don't look at me, don't look at me, right? And obviously there was just me and another person. Like, I think it was like, he was like one of the salesperson or something. And I had a thought in my head, I'm like, why is he earning more money than me? Right? Why is he more successful than me? And I looked at it and I realized, and I knew the reason it was, and unless I stopped lying to myself and, you know, sitting in my job and and know that my job is replaceable and my skill sets are not valuable, I started to go, well, if I can develop that, because it looks like our salespeople can really talk to people, right? And I couldn't talk to people. So, and then I thought, man, okay, so I'm gonna put my phone away for a little bit and I'm gonna say hi, okay? Like, he was pressing the button and I was like, I mustered up all my courage that I could find, right? I was like, okay, breathe in. And I swear my heart was going to jump out of my throat. Like, it was that scary. It was almost like going down a roller coaster. And I hate roller coasters, right? I used to, one of the time when I was in year 10, I stood up in the top of the roller coaster. I'm like, let me down. And I swear my boyfriend back then was like, oh my God, I don't really know her. And this was like one of the smaller ones, not even the big one yet. Literally on top of it, because I was so scared to go down. I stood up, I was like, let me down, right? So it was even scarier than that. But it really proved to me that I didn't die. I didn't die, right? So I'm like, hi. And then he was like, hi. And I'm like, oh, okay. So he does say hi back. So I'm like, so are you saying if I say, how are you, he's going to respond to me? And, he's not one of those murderers that you see in movies and stuff. See, the things that we have these stories in our minds because we watch too many movies. We were so unconscious of whatever it is that we put into our mind. So whenever the situation comes up, not necessarily your situation, you've seen it happen elsewhere and you picked up because, your mind is trying to keep you safe. It's like, oh, actually, that happened to that person, so it can be good for you. And then you go into the thought, oh my God, like the scary movies. That's why it's so scary. It's like you won't even go into a room anymore because you're like, oh my God, because that scary movie start playing in your mind again. So it's how you think of your situation, right? It's all in your head. So I said hi to them, and then the next day I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do one person a day. Like, I'm not gonna beat myself up. Just do one person a day, one stranger a day. So the next day I would go in and I would, in the lift as well. So when I was practicing all these skills and no one knew what I was doing, I said hi and how are you? So I had 2 sentences the second day, and then the next day I would be. I'm like, okay, well, how do I maintain a conversation, right? Because before it was, how do I initiate a conversation? And then now, how do I maintain a conversation? So to initiate a conversation, I realized that, this is a skill. This is a social skill. Like, I used to label myself as shy, so I don't have to do anything outside of that label. Does that make sense? But when I said, what if it's not me? What if shyness is not me? So, I started to listen to like personal development and, started reading books. So there are so many books out there. Everything you ever want to learn, someone else have written a book about it. So if you want to learn, you can go and learn. So I read up books like, how to start small talks and stuff. So, and every single one of them seems to be the trait of complimenting. So whenever you compliment somebody, they already let you into their world, because no one compliments. No one goes around and start complimenting people. But because I did it consciously, it was very hard at the beginning for me, because when you don't like yourself very much, you can't go and build someone else up, because you can only give what you have, right? So if you are not love, you can't give love. Okay, so if you didn't like yourself very much, like, it was so hard for me to go out and compliment somebody something, but it was the easiest way to get anybody to talk to you, or just to build that rapport at the beginning, and that's an instant connection straight away. So I would go out and I would literally, like, in my head, I'm like, Maggie, look for something, compliment, look for something, it doesn't matter, just say something. And I'm like, oh, nice bag. And at the beginning, I swear, I felt so fake, because I didn't feel it within myself, right? Until I go home and then I start to appreciate what I have. I start to, look in the mirror and then start to, with the most, I'm like, okay, so what do I like about myself? And that time I was like, I don't like anything about myself. Like, I think I look ugly. I have no eyebrows. You know, like Asian nose are so, you know, I wish I have Caucasian nose. You know, I've got this mole on my face. You know, my face is too big. So you go in this spiral, you know, what's the opposite compliment? Deprecation, self-deprecation. And then I said, no, just stop, right? And then this is all self-talk. This is like me. This is you. This was me trying to interrupt my thought pattern, because I knew that my thought pattern got me to where I was. So I couldn't have the same thought pattern and expect me to get out of that. So I had to interject, and I said, well, okay, you know, what do I like about myself? So I started with just my eyebrows, right? So I'm like, okay, so I can draw great eyebrows. Okay, let's start there. So then, you know, the next day I'll be like, okay, what else do people say they like about me? So then that just builds up. So you can't beat yourself up to be better. And it's the same things that's like, you can't connect with people and expect them to connect with you if you don't bring out the best in them, because they always want to feel good about themselves. Okay. And this is a skill that we weren't really taught at a young age, but I knew that if I don't have this, I couldn't teach my kids. And probably I trained them by treating them that way, because I wouldn't know any better. Okay, because I grew up with, you know, my whole family scolding at me, right? They all scolded me for everything that I do, but that's probably the reason why I grew up and I think I was so worthless. Like everything I do, like put my feet up, I got scolded at, you know? Or like, you know, drinking too loud, got scolded at. Like laugh too loud, got scolded at. Like everything, like my existence was a burden for other people. So I had so much insecurities within myself that it made me shrink smaller and smaller. And I knew that if I don't own it and expand it and say, and instead of saying, why did that happen to me? I said, I'm so glad that happened to me, because I will now know not to ever treat my kids like that, because it felt like shit. Okay. So yeah, it's not, and then another thing is that, you know, it's not about you, right? So whenever, thanks so much, Sarita. Is that how you say your name, Sarita? You have so much influence that you don't even know. You have so much influence over people that you don't even know of. Like your words can uplift somebody, can empower somebody, or can really pull them down. Okay, I used to make fun out of people because I just think it's a tease. It's normal, you know? Like, I honestly, right now, I'm struggling to think of the things that I used to say because it's so bad, because I'm not used to saying that anymore. But I've trained myself to only pick out the best things in people and turn a blind eye on their flaws, because I've learned, right, that be gentle with other people's flaws as much as you want them to be gentle with yours. I'll repeat that. Be gentle with other people's flaws as much as you want them to be gentle with yours, because we're not perfect. We are not perfect. So whenever I go on and the more I learn to love myself, I get to share a lot more of myself with you guys. I impact a lot more people, because I've realized more people are reaching out to me, right? Because I start to own my story. I start to not wishing that things were different, because somewhere someone out there is waiting, is going through what I'm going through, and unless I get out of my head, I wasn't going to help another person. So, you know, my insecurities before was like, oh, so what if I talk to, you know, a few people? Like, who's going to want to hear that? But that old Maggie needed someone to step out and say that, but I didn't have that person. Does that make sense? So the Maggie 2 years ago wanted someone to step up and say that, you know what, just start with saying hello to one person a day. She didn't have that. I didn't have that, right? So always own it, whatever you're going through, whatever you overcome. Hey, Bree. Hey, Stephen. You're perfect. Yeah, that's what you think. That's perfect. But yeah, like you just have to own it. And if you're just one step ahead of somebody else, you're good enough to lead them, because you've been to places that they've never been before. So take small steps, you know, So then I realized that, because it's not about me, but the thing is that I have to start with me, because I can only give what I have, right? So if you want to talk to people, you can't watch the news and then go complain it to somebody else. Like, no one's gonna want to hear it. Okay, it's like they'll say, oh yeah, that's, you know, yeah, oh yeah, that thing happened. I don't even know what's on the news anymore because I don't have a TV, right? But after 2 minutes, you realize that your negative words has an energy vibration. It's very toxic. People don't want to be in that area because what it does is that it triggers negative, vibration within us, and we don't like that. See, because we're all made of energy, and we are everything that we like, both positive and negative. We're in a way and hang out with people or like to talk with people that have positive energy, because when they have a positive energy, they will bring out and attract the positive energy out of them. So they walk away, end up liking themselves. So 5-6 years ago, somebody out there made a difference in my life without knowing, right? I was condemning her because I didn't understand what she was doing, because I couldn't feel it within myself. But back then, because I was so insecure and I thought I was so ugly and not desirable, when she told me I was beautiful and she was a network marketer, I ran away because my gap was so high. Like, she was so positive and awesome. And I was so negative and so doubtful. Like, the gap was so big, I couldn't bridge it. So when she told me I was beautiful, I loved it, but it was like, oh, this lady is on drugs. Like, you know, no one says that, right? And but it's always in me. Like, it always, right, like whenever I feel down, like, her voice will come back to my mind. And I remember she was saying, you're beautiful. And that's all it took. You know, I almost went into depression, like I told you guys. I don't know if you guys remembered, but yeah, like, your words make a difference. So I couldn't, you know, I had to start to put value in myself, you know, looking at like different things, like positive things. So whenever I talk to people, I have something to add to them, right? So a compliment is adding value to them. Just start with that. You know, and if you go out and if you're just going to be a pleasant person whenever you feel good, because when you feel good, you're not resentful, you're not ornery. So therefore, whenever people hang out with you, they like to hang out with you. Okay, so that's why it's very important to make you happy, because you start vibrating at the frequency that people want to hang out with. Okay, so, and then I started by, you know, like, take the next challenge by not in the lift anymore, but I did it for 1 month. And I said, okay, well, if I talk to one new person a day by 1 month, that's 30 days, right? Oh, thank you so much, Bree. That's so beautiful. So when I started to go out, I said, well, there's humans everywhere. I don't need to particularly have to talk to anybody, like everyone that I can talk to. Okay. So I would walk down the street, and one thing I used to remember to do was, it was very awkward, but I started to smile, right? Just smile, like walking down the street and smiling. And the people that needed that smile will smile back at you. Or, because no one does that anymore. Everyone just goes out with their phone and just plugging right in, right? So, because when I kind of do these things, then I can pick up my kids, when they're not doing it. So my son came back home, you know, not long ago, and he used to laugh like me, right? So people used to say, oh, I wonder where you got your laugh from, which means they were having a go at me. But I'm like, that's good. You know, I take that as a compliment, okay? But recently he's changed now, but there was a few months at the beginning of the year, he would go home and he would laugh like that, like he'll cover his face, right? He'll cover his mouth, or he just doesn't laugh. And then I try to make him laugh, and I say, Cody, it's funny, laugh, right? And then he'd be like, right? He's like that. And I'm like, why are you not laughing? Why are you not reminding your face that you're not happy? I mean, like, you're happy. Right? And then over time, because I keep tickling him and make him laugh loud, like, laugh loud, I can't hear you, laugh louder. And then he starts to build that, and then now he's becoming to be himself again. But somehow along the way, when he goes to school, he were adapting to the environment that he was in, start to shrink like smaller and smaller, because, you know, it's not good to laugh so loud, or it's not good to do this, not good to do that. So then, you know, you build up this belief that you're not good enough, and you start feeling insecure about yourself, because everything you do, someone has something to say about you. And if there's no one there to be your inner voice and to support you and have that, you know, encouragement, like, you know, like, I'm not the best mother, but at least the least thing I could do whenever I can see these things, I can again like interrupt his thought pattern and then change that. So then he always walks around with head high, and own his presence. Yeah, and that's all I want for my kids. Like, my job is done. I don't care what he does. Like, whatever he does, I'm sure he's going to be successful because he's staying in his own lane. There's no comparison. Okay, cool. So yeah, take small steps. Books, there's all books, right? I had to learn this. I grabbed a book. It was called How to Talk to Strangers, or there was like 90 ways of how to, have small talks with strangers. And then in there it tells you like how to like crack a joke. How do you make jokes that's funny? But so the jokes that funny has to be on you and never the other person or another human being. It has to be on you, because when you make fun of yourself, it's very funny, it's very light. But when you start making fun of another person, it's not nice. And I didn't know, and I used to do this in my before I knew any of this stuff, and I wondered why I had no friends. So another thing I wanted to say is that why do you do what you do? So I shared with you at the beginning, I do this because of my kids. I do this because I want to be, lead by example. And that's why I love what I do, because I follow these leaders lead, and I'm a leader, right? I'm a leader at home. I didn't, when someone said that to me at the beginning, I was like, what are you talking about? Because when you hear leader, you look at like Barack Obama leading a country, leading, like an organization, leading, like massive, crowds, right? But do you know what's your biggest leadership is in your family, in your life? It's your kids. You're raising the next generation. You're literally raising the next generation, because they're going to go into the world and do what you do. So if you don't like how you are and you wanted to duplicate that, are you helping the world? Are you making a difference in the world? You're not. We need to make a difference in the world by making a difference in the world in our own world. But we don't think like that. We're just casually walking around, treating people like shit, talking like, like have no concern for their feelings, right? Because we don't have, like, we don't even do that to ourselves. We are not even carefully sifting and sorting what we say to ourselves. So we can't do that for other people. So we can't teach our kids to do the same thing, because we don't teach by words. We teach them by experience. So whatever you let them experience is what they're going to go out and have other people experience that. So, a couple of nights ago, I shared a video where, my old friend back in high school when I was 15 or 12, she reached out and I said to her, I am so sorry, please forgive me for being such a bad friend. But because I didn't know, right? And I said, I really didn't know, because I went out to the world treating everyone like the way I was treated. It was insane. Oh, John Mellon, hey, how are you? It was insane. I literally go out and I was, whatever, like it's either easier for me to pick up their flaws, right? Because that's how I was, because the theory that was in my head was that I was taught, right? This is a belief I was taught that, it's expected to do good things, but I need to tell you when you're doing the wrong thing so that you can fix it. That is such a flawed premise that I was operating on. No wonder I had no friends. Who's here like to point out their flaws? Because I don't, right? So therefore, I don't like people when they point out my flaws, and I don't point out other people's flaws, because we already have our own critic in our mind. Like, we are our worst critic already. We don't need another person to tell us that we're not good enough. We don't. So leave that job to their mind, because their mind does a better job already. Like, I guarantee you. So the reason why we do what we do is, like, I used to judge people because I didn't want to be judged, right? Because it's easier if I judge first, because it's like, oh yeah, if I'm doing it first, so they don't judge me. And then, if I, because I was afraid of being judged, I avoid connection. I avoid people like getting to know me, okay? Because I was already judging myself. I didn't want another person to do the same thing to me, right? Because that's the story you have in your mind. Like how you treat yourself is how you let others do it to you. So to stop all of that, I just put up a wall. I was like, I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to know any friends. And then I was like, oh no, I'm shy. Because I'm shy, I don't do these things. Okay. And then for all of you that are not doing Facebook Lives, right? This is you saying to yourself that no one wants to hear my story. You know, I am not worthy. Like, what do I have to say? What's my content? You have a story. You are you, and no one can be you. Okay, but you got to start somewhere. But yeah, so, you know, and then the voice in your head was like, oh, this is what you always do. So, you know, you always do this, or you never do this. So we always classify ourselves as like an absolute, like you always a failure, right? You always do this. And so then, because you say that to yourself, right? Because it was someone else saying it to you. Again, you learn these behaviors through another human being, right? So I used to be told like, oh, you always do this, or you never do this. So what do? I say that to my ex-husband, you know, whenever we fight, you always do this. No, he doesn't, right? But I say that, and then he gets upset because I don't always do that. But we do it because that's how we say it to ourselves. And then, you know, you do it to your kids as well. So instead of like praising them, just say, you know what, like good effort, like it's good you're doing that. Instead of saying, oh, you know, you always fail. You always, you know, you always muck things up. You always do this. So you already eliminate that there can't be any other possibility. And that, you know, that could just be a one-time off, right? So but how often do we say that? Do we always say, you're always so nice to me. You're always so loving. You're always so amazing. We don't. We only say it when we're pointing out flaws. So we're already pinning their flaws to their foreverness, right? So they always be like that. So they can never be anything else. So then again, more people say that, come to their lives and say that, influence in them, and that's how they're gonna see themselves. Okay, because we don't go out and we don't say nice things to people. We don't always say, you always look so amazing. You're always such an amazing soul. You're always so awesome. We don't say that, do we? Do we? So we always, you know, attach their failures to who they are. So that's why, you know, there's a lot of insecure people around us, because we don't choose to go around and uplift people. If we all go around today and say, you are always awesome, you know, you are always so supportive, you know, and you never do me wrong. You're such an amazing friend all the time. If you say that all the time, they're going to start to believe that, right? But we don't, right? So then again, you know, we can only influence through, depends on your tribe, to get around the tribe. They tell you how awesome it is. Yeah, that's right. But like 99% of us are not consciously going out there and seeking for people that add value to them, because in themselves they think that this is life, you know, like this is how we treat each other. It's normal to put people down. Okay. And and so thank God for network marketing, right? So again, you know, I'm always learning. So guys, like I'm not going to come up here to say, you know, like I've mastered everything. Now I've got other problems. Okay. I've gone through the whole, you know, I can talk to people and small talk and stuff, but now because I'm in my business, because of my business, I was able to overcome these things. But there was one point in time I couldn't bring up my business because I was too afraid. Like I can just talk to them about anything, right? But I wouldn't bring up my business because I was too insecure, because I didn't know why I was doing it. Like I knew why, like I saw, but it wasn't deep enough for me to like, you know, take it by the horns and go, and you know what? People need to do this. Like this would change your life. Until it changed my life, until it like I you know, one of my coach did this live this morning. He said, we sell hope, not soap. So, you know, like I could see the hope. I could see how, you know, these leaders are doing what they're doing because they're impacting the world, and, you know, it's a vehicle for them to create anything out of, you know, of their lives. And for me, so far, it had transformed me in terms of my confidence wise. It had transformed me in terms of my likability, right? It transformed me into a really good marketer. And like, I like myself. That's a very major point, okay? Because I used to hate myself. And I have amazing friendships and relationships. And I'm able to, you know, be very self-aware and lead my kids. Okay, so I did an interview this morning with Brian Cuthers. He's got a team of over 400,000 people, and he said, when you don't have a team, which means you're not a good leader, so therefore you need to learn to be a leader. And then once you become a leader, then you have to learn how to teach other people to become leaders, and that's how you become free, right? And but yeah, it's just so amazing that it was very difficult. Like I had to learn these things. It was very nerve-wracking. When people said no to me before, I would sit in it for days because I wasn't valuing myself. So I figured that when someone rejected me is because I think I'm a reject. I think that I'm not worthy. So whatever comes out of my mouth, it's not worthy for people to take it on. Okay, because I'm like, I need to have results. But what was mattered to me, because that time, that moment in time, what really mattered to me was me becoming the best leader I could be for my kids. So whenever I saw that hope and I went for it, and I got some kind of success for my own story, that's when I started to develop more belief. Okay, because that's how. And that's why I always ask people, like whenever I talk to people, why did you go to your job? Why do you do what you do? And most of them would come back to me and say, good question, right? Because if you're just doing because of the money, like you won't be passionate about it and you won't make any changes. You're just gonna do just the bare minimum, right? And you look around and go, that they're doing, I'm just gonna do it, right? But instead of asking them, how do they really feel? So there was a quote out there that I posted up not a while ago. People ask us if we're married, people ask if we have a career, people ask if we're kids, but no one ever asks us if we're happy. Let that sink in for a little bit. That stung. I don't know about you, but when I saw that, like when the first time I saw that, it stung me. Because I never once stopped in the past and asked, Maggie, are you happy? Right? And I would distract myself with other stuff so that I don't have to answer that question. So now that when I ask my prospects, they will then, say, oh yeah, I'm content, or, yeah, I'm happy. But I know that they're going to walk away and they're going to think about it, because no one goes around and no one cared and asked if you're happy. So, whenever you go down the grocery store, or whenever you see anybody, at the checkouts, right? So I learned this from Andrew Fletcher. I would say to them, how many smiles have you checked out today? And they're like, what? And I'm like, how many smiles did you check out today? At least you got one. That's from me. And they're like, what? And straight away they smile. So how powerful is it that your words are so powerful, you have no idea. You need to learn how to use it. So every day when I go to the Woolworths and then Coles, I'm like, how many smiles did you check out today? And like, who says that? Angel Fletcher. That's who says it, right? And what did she say? But it was just so profounding. Like, how did she come up with this thing? Because she leads with heart. Because she saw this as a vehicle for her to access somebody's lives and go, hey, if you want change, I've got a solution for you. But before, I couldn't see beyond that because I was too insecure with myself that, I didn't like myself enough to go, what if there was a possibility for me to have financial freedom and time freedom, right? So I saw a lot of people making a lot of money, but they don't have no time. So Brian that I interviewed today, he was making a lot of money in real estate because he has a real estate company, but he didn't have any time freedom. So when he saw the model of network marketing, he's like, where's this been all my life, right? And then he started to go back to his business and start to implement it with real estate. And apparently now in the US, one of the companies actually using the model of network marketing into their real estate so that you can like leverage off other people. Like you're just an agent and you just, get like 5 of your agents to come in and do your business. It's crazy. Like I didn't know that, but it's just so amazing that because I have access to these brilliant minds, I'm able to learn these things that I didn't know before. And this is how you open up your mind and you can add value to people. So before it's not about overcoming your shyness, even talking to people. Like what is the end goal? What is the end goal that you're trying to do? Right? Because if your end goal is to uplift people, you will then find every single way to make sure that you were never sad when you're around people. Because when you're sad around people, you are literally giving off toxins like this. Like no one wants to be around you. No one wants to be around an honorary person. Okay? So that's why like you need to pour into yourself first before you can even give. Right? So you need to make yourself happy first. And then when you're happy, and then you can go out there and you can go, you know what? I want to change the world today because my presence, someone's going to benefit from it because I have value to give, because I chose to give myself first. So my cup is full and then I can give to others. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. You know, yeah, that's right. So then for me now, it's like my problem is, how do I ask the right question? How do I ask the right question for the prospect to understand where it is that I'm coming from, right? It gets frustrating because I get objections and I'm like, how do I overcome this? But I know that over time, I'm going to get over it because my why is so big now, because I can see, you know, the possibility of, you know, how like anyone literally just change their lives by joining network marketing, you know, even just to become a better person and then, you know, go back to their job and do an amazing job at whatever they do. Like, that's good enough, right? Thank you, Leslie. That's amazing. If you share, put in the share below and I'll give you a shout out. Yeah, so that's why I do what I do. You know, it wasn't just getting over my shyness. It was literally because I have kids that I want to lead. I have kids that I want to make an impact on, because it has to start with your own world, okay? Because that's how you go out to the world, right? So you know, and then start to look at whatever you think that's stopping you. Get a book on it, right? When's the last time you read a book? So for me to get over the fear of talking to people, because I gave up on my promotion, you know, I go through that now, and I'm okay to share that because I'm owning my journey, right? Because I've seen how far I've come. I'm like, why can't I do that again? But before, I was so insecure and think it's all about me and, you know, oh my God, I've got nothing to give. I try to hide it, and I'm like, no, I don't want to hide it anymore, right? I'm like, I've done this, now I'm up to this. And because we're always on a journey, we'll never get it done. So therefore, we never get it wrong. If you don't know who Abraham Hicks is, you better listen. She saved my life too. So yeah, but if it wasn't for network marketing, I would have discovered her. Okay, but that's what I listen to her every single day. So yeah, so you're always on a journey. You never get it wrong because you never get it done. And because you never get it done, you never get it wrong. That's it. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want to connect with me, know what I want to do, you know, please reach out. I am just so blessed that, you know, someone actually reached out to me because because of another person, and so I don't even know this person, but we used to, like, he's now working at the company I used to work with, and because I made friends with the concierge guy, they had a chat somehow, and Abraham Hicks, and he went to him and said, you know, like, I don't know what the conversation was, but my friend at the concierge referred and told him to go follow me, or like to hook up with me, to because he found I was inspiring. I'm like, oh my God, that's like the biggest compliment ever. Like, that's like, I can't even thank him enough. So we just recently connected, and I'm really looking forward to know more about him, because, you know, again, like, I realized that when I start to own my story, a lot more people start to come out and start to, you know, connect with me and say, you know, yeah, I don't want to pay bills for the rest of my life, right? Because I know there's more to that, you know, and it doesn't matter that I'm not there, because, I mean, these leaders, once they were where I am, right? So why do we beat ourselves up and go, I have to wake up the next morning and be a millionaire? Or like, I have to wake up the next day and I have to have 300,000, you know, team of 300,000 people. Like, he built it like 19 years, man. Consistent, day in, day out. You do it enough so that it becomes like a routine. Like, you go in the morning, you wake up and you're subconsciously brushing your teeth. That's what he does. So you have to do things so diligently until it becomes like a natural thing. So for me to compliment someone before, I have to really like look at them and going, what do I like about that? I don't really like their bags. I don't really like their shirt. Like, what can I compliment about that, right? And now, like, as soon as I see somebody, I'm like, bang, like I can see something and I can just compliment them straight away, so do it so that it becomes your second nature, so that you can just be yourself, right? And being yourself is still through hard work. It's still through conscious choices, conscious awareness of what it is that you want to do. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Oh my God, it's like 1:30 in the morning. Like, I don't know why I'm operating at, like American hours. But I'm just so fired up. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys like this, please share it. And if you have any question, please reach out to me. I'm just an inbox away. And thank you so much, Vera. Oh my God, you guys are still awake. Sydney peeps, you guys aren't sleeping. You guys are like night owls like me. But I love you guys. Whatever you guys wanted to discuss, please reach out to me. I feel very, very honored that you guys do reach out. And have a conversation with me and whatever it is that you're going through, and I love to help whenever I can. But yeah, like, let's do this, let's rock this, let's go out there and uplift the world. And first of all, you need to look after yourself. So what is your self-care today? All right, bye, beautiful.